I'm not gonna pretend like I was the world's greatest schoolboy rugby player, but like schoolboy rugby was relatively easy.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about it. I just turned up and I played, and I was
Mm.
probably one of the better players on the field.
Mm.
And so the jump from that to professional rugby, I quickly doubted myself first of all, and I
Yeah.
realized like, hey, there's probably another aspect. Instead of just watching game film and lifting weights, there's probably got to
Yeah.
work on the mental side of it as well. So that
Yeah.
was probably the first seed. And then, I worked, there was probably a crucial period. So when I left the Sharks in 2012, so I was out of contract in October.
Mm.
This is, I'm showing my age now. This is back in the days when the contracts ran from January to October.
To October.
But because yeah, the contract season ended in October. But so my contract's up in October, and my contract in Perpignan was only starting the 5th of July. So I had
Sure.
7 months off, or 8
Yeah.
months like free.
Yeah.
Basically, I met up with Tim Goodenough.
Mm.
Really got a chance to do some really deep work and probably work through some of the scars and the mishaps that had happened to me in my last year at the Lions and the year at the Sharks.
Mm.
And I wanted to give myself the best opportunity to be successful when I arrived in Perpignan.
Yeah.
And so that moment, that work I did there is probably a lot of the shifts, the mental shifts that I carried with me in the second part of my career. And that was like the real moment I was like, okay, this is something I want to do later on.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Skosan Unplugged.
I told her mom that I go soon. Know as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk.
Yo, what's up, brother? So good to see you, man. Yeah, you're looking good. You're looking fit. You're looking healthy. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I mean, you all the way across in France at the moment. So, it's so cool to see how we can connect with each other when we come to these platforms and, have these online conversations. But I'm really looking forward to it, brother. Like I said, when I reached out to you in the beginning, I think we've got a lot to chat about. I think you've got a wealth of knowledge that you can obviously transfer, and share with the world. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to having that conversation with you, man.
No, man, I appreciate you. First of all, thanks for extending an invite and giving me an opportunity to come onto your podcast. So, yeah, I mean, we played together a long time ago,
Hey,
many, many
brother.
years ago. So it's good to see you. It's good to catch up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
I just thought about it the other day, actually. I mean, when I think about when we played together, obviously that time you were already a big man, obviously superstar, and we'll dig a little bit into that. But before we get to that, I like to always start off the conversation, asking the guests to introduce themselves. Everyone introduces themselves in a specific way. I don't know how you like to do that, but for the people out there who don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself, to those people?
So my name's Wandile Mjekevu. I'm currently probably my biggest preoccupation is my family. So I'm
Lovely.
married. I have two young boys who are 3 and 5 years old, who take a lot of my energy and a lot of my time and a lot of my mental capacity. But no, it's a huge blessing, and I mean that's, like I said, my biggest preoccupation. What I do today is I'm a mental performance coach. So I work with athletes, on a one-to-one basis. I'm
Mm.
just trying to not too complicated, but just really help them perform at their best, basically. And that
Yeah.
can take in many different forms. And so that's what I do currently. And in a previous life, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, I was a professional rugby player.
Mm-hmm.
So I played in South Africa. I played at the Lions, at the Sharks, and at the Kings. And then I moved over to France. I actually moved over to France when I was quite young, and then
Mm-hmm.
I was 22.
Sure.
And so I played at Perpignan, Lucep, Toulouse, and Albi. So played across all the division from European Cup, top 14, probably to down to national. So quite a wide range and a lot of
Yes.
experiences.
Mm.
And I've been retired since 2 years now. And during my career, which is what obviously formed what I'm doing today,
Mm-hmm.
I studied, I did my undergrad in psychology, and then I did a master's in sports and exercise psychology, because I was quite fortunate to be exposed to it when I was playing, and I saw the value and the impact and how it absolutely helps me,
Mm-hmm.
and probably more importantly, how I think some of my teammates could have used it and it would have been more successful. And so that's the work. That's my work today, is just trying to help guys, just deliver on their potential, basically.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. We'll dig obviously a little bit deeper into that stuff a little bit later as well. Obviously your career, what you do, the nitty gritties of it. But the second question, the follow up to that would be beautiful introduction, by the way. If someone had a doubt of who you are, what you do, what you've done before, I think they would have had a full CV there. But yeah, well done on that, man. And then, yeah, just how are you doing? Because I know a lot of the times when we ask someone how they're doing, it's I'm good and you, but genuinely, how are you?
Mate, I really appreciate you asking that. And that's actually really important. I think now in today's time, just actually checking in on your friends, your loved ones, and genuinely asking
Yeah.
how are you, and not just stopping at I'm okay or I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate that. No, man, I'm really good, to be honest. Like I said, my kids are healthy, my wife's healthy, so that's
Awesome.
really, really important to me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I get the chance to I call it work. I'm probably being a bit harsh. Actually, it's a passion, and you know what I mean? So I'm really fortunate that I spent 14, 15 years living my passion from when I was 18.
Yeah.
Ended my career, and then my second part of my life, I'm getting to do something that I'm equally passionate about. The contrast being is when I was a professional rugby player, your calendar was booked for you. You had your time, you had to be there, you had to execute. Him or soldiers. And so I think the nice thing is today, one day is never the same. Each day is different, and I meet different players, different personalities, and so different conversations all the time. So
Yeah.
I think that is really exciting. So yeah, man, generally, thanks for asking. I'm really good. I'd love to know how you're doing, by the way. I know you just come back from injury, so
Yes.
how are you? How's the mental space and everything?
No, that's good to hear, man. Yeah, no, I just did a post about it a couple of days ago. I'm back on the field now, so that feels good. I think every time you get injured, you feel like it's something. It's like I've been here, done that. I know how to get through this thing, but it just challenges you in different ways all the time. So you learn more about yourself. It was a little bit challenging for me because I'm getting frustrated with the fact that I had a bit of a setback. 6 weeks in, I kind of had the body was taking a little bit longer to heal than what I expected, so I was pushing a bit too hard, and I had to take 2 weeks back. So it took me 2 weeks longer to come back. But if you think about it in the greater scheme of things, it's 2 weeks. It's not even.
Exactly.
But when it comes to professional sport, and we'll obviously dig into it as we go. 2 weeks is a long time. So it set me off a little bit, but I was able to recover and get back, just get my head back to where it needs to be. But other than that, when it comes to off the field, family is healthy, kids are enjoying. We're living in Cape Town at the moment. They're enjoying Cape Town, loving it out here. They've got friends. My eldest one doesn't want to play rugby. He recently started dabbling a little bit. Smaller one, almost 7 years old now. He wants to play rugby.
Awesome.
So he's motivating, but the other one's playing soccer. So he's got his friends at the soccer club, he's got friends at school. He's enjoying that. The wife has really been blessed, although sometimes a bit stressful with a lot of work, but it's not a bad thing to have a lot of work. So we really, off the field, things are going really well. Obviously, I would love to play more, but being injured also didn't help that cause, but other than that, when it comes to life in general, I'm just happy, man. I'm good, just happy to be in good health, to be blessed. We had a bit of a scare with my mother also a couple of weeks ago, and just how we prayed, and got together as a family, and how, God just came through for us in that department as well, so you're constantly getting these things that are coming from all angles, but once you look at it as a big picture, you realize how blessed you are. So I have to say I'm really blessed, although, sometimes you get punched from both sides. It's good to understand that there are a lot of blessings within that, especially when you were saying now with everyone's healthy and happy, that's kind of like how you gauge how blessed you are, because health is something we take for granted so much. But yeah, thanks for asking, man. I'm good.
I agree with you, man. I would know better than most. So I agree in that last statement, man. Health is like, I take that. That's probably the most important thing, man. It's just, being healthy and being able to live well. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. So, Wandile, we'll jump into it, and you obviously know where we're gonna start, but I wanted to ask you about just before we get to that, obviously your high school, where did the love for the game come from? Did you start playing at a very young age? Was there someone in your family that played sport before that kind of inspired you, until, or just before we get to the part where we obviously know you were 19 years old, made a massive debut, and we'll talk about that game in a second.
Yeah, man. So, like, I think 90% or almost everybody, I started playing rugby because I just wanted to spend more time with my friends. So I started when I was 10. I was in grade 5 at Dell Junior in King Williamstown. And it was just an excuse to spend time, you know, you're in class all day with your friends and you want to spend more time with them in the afternoon. So we all played the same sports. And I think I was fortunate enough that we all had a similar level. So we played in the same teams. And so that's like I said, it was just a classic beginning. I really loved the sport. I enjoyed playing it. And then as I got older, probably, if I'm honest, I'll probably say when I was probably around 15, so I was in grade 10. Yeah, I was 15, 16. I made like the conscious decision. I was like, okay, this is what I want to pursue.
Yeah.
I think I've got the ability to go a long way. So this is what I'm gonna really put all my effort into trying to maximize my whatever potential I've got.
Yeah.
And so that included changing schools and stuff like that. So I moved to Johannesburg for my last 2 years of high schooling at King Edward. And yeah, I think
big
I was
school.
very
It's a
fortunate in
small school in Joburg, eh? King Edward's.
small
school.
school. We do small, not the greatest rugby players, not Malcolm Marks, Scarron Tumeni, not just.
Isn't there a guy
Brian
called
Banner,
Brian
not
Banner?
average
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiffany Kirk. No,
Yo.
we try.
Name dropping.
We try our best. No, I think we'll probably choose way more cricketers, but that's another story.
Sure.
And so yeah, so I did my last 2 years there, and I was fortunate that part of the reason why I went there is because I wanted to be in a bigger catchment area, notably the Lions. So I was fortunate I played Grand Combo Week in my grade 11 year, and then when I was 17 in my trick, I played Craven Week, and then I played SS Schools. And so, you know, the platform was there, and I was launched, and I was ready to take on the world.
Sure.
And I was quite fortunate that things went quite quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like I said, pretty much from 10 to 15 was pretty much all pleasure. And then I think really around 15, 16, I made the conscious decision that like, okay, I think the mindset's got to shift a little bit now. I've got to be a little bit more serious. I still enjoyed it, but the goal was a little bit different at the end.
That's crazy, man. And then to make that jump, you said now 16, 17. Obviously, I never played any Craven Week, so you went through all the structures of getting all those accolades in rugby. But then how do you get to a point where now you're 19 years old, you know, you Super Rugby, and having the time of your life, being involved in a game? Was it against the Chiefs? I think it was like 18 tries in the game, of which you scored like 50% of all of it. I don't know. Take me through that, brother. Like, how do you get from being a 17-year-old? Because when we think about it, 2010, 2011, or even earlier than that, to be a young guy like that coming into a senior setup wasn't an everyday event. It wasn't everyone that got those opportunities. You were obviously a very special athlete at the time, coming through the ranks, and them giving you a shot at 19 years old and then having that game. You know, take us through that moment. What did it mean to you? How did we get there? You know, like, from your point of view.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think I got to give a bit of credit. I think in my Craven team, there's a lot of really talented players, obviously, but I mean, two guys stood out: Alton Yankees and Yaku.
Oh, yes.
And so Alton in matric was really playing under 21 Curry Cup, and then Yaku, when he was in matric at Monument, played Curry Cup, senior Curry Cup.
Sure.
I think that's way more impressive. So
sure.
I say that to help you understand that, like, okay, they were talented guys and they were willing to give them a chance. And so I was fortunate that I was one of the ones that they were willing to give a chance to. And so, yeah, I was playing under 19s, under 19 Curry Cup. And then Dick Muir came into the setup, and literally just randomly out of nowhere said, come join preseason training with the first team. And I mean, genuinely, man, like I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. It might accelerate a little bit, but I mean, I might play, under 21s, Vodacom Cup. Yeah. And then maybe Curry Cup later in the year. And so, but the weird thing is, like, the preseason went really well. And as we got closer, and then we played the warm-up games, I think we played the Bulls at Polokwane, and like that went really well. And that was actually quite important personally for me, because it actually allowed me to be like, wow, man, there's all these Springboks on the field at that time. Yeah. I'm not going to go through their names, but they won a few World Cups in between.
Hey.
And I was like, okay, look, I can actually exist at this level.
I can do this thing,
I might have something to, I might have something to contribute. And so the physical growth probably took a little bit longer, but the mental shifts I made were really, really quick. And also coincidentally is when it was my first interaction with the mental side of the game, because we had Henning Gericke, who was working with us at the time, and he was constantly in my ear because I think he sensed that I probably didn't really believe in myself as much as Dick and the coaching staff believed in me.
Yeah.
And so that was like the first seed that was planted. So yeah, it was a lot of it was just being in the right place at the right time, being in an environment that was giving young players a chance. And so, yeah, I think I had that opportunity, and I think I took it and I ran with it.
And the hat-trick, the being part of the game, how did that feel? So obviously now you make your debut, you play the game, and I remember my debut like it happened yesterday. It was a great big 5 minutes against the Bulls at Loftus. And then I played the next week I started, and I played against the Blues and obviously scored on my debut. So we all know it's a special feeling to score on your debut, but then to have a game like what you had, I mean, how did that feel?
I want to clarify something. The Chiefs game was my second game in Super
Oh,
Rugby.
snap.
My actual debut, my actual debut the week before against the Stormers.
Nice.
And so I've said this before, and to my friends, like I had the best seats in the house, man. I didn't do anything. Like I was like just standing. I mean, I think funny enough, I had Brian in front of me, Brian Abena in front of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, jeez, man, you're actually on this field. Like, this is actually like real, those Jean de Villiers, Jacques Fourie, man,
Sure.
I go through the names. And like, it was 50 really uneventful minutes. I went off because I was cramping. So clearly not ready to play at that level physically. And so, but once again, like, it was just like further validation and proof that like, I mean, you've actually arrived. Like, you can actually play at this level. Like, now stop sort of getting in your own way and just try and enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think we're fortunate that Chiefs came into town the next week, and they're probably in the same mood as well. They wanted to enjoy it as much. So that's what happened. Yeah. And it was a crazy game, man.
Hectic, man.
I don't have a lot of memories because I was really like what we call in a flow. It's just the games was happening and really, really enjoyable. I've talked about this game a few times. It became a sort of a poison chalice because, inside I probably started shifting. Like I was like, oh, you scored a hat-trick in your second game. I think the second youngest guy to ever score a hat-trick in Super Rugby. Like, now I was trying to live up to that, and I quickly shifted from just being free, enjoying the game, and just trying things and being, just really expressing myself to trying to live up to an idea that wasn't necessarily who I really was.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember that when you play games like that, it's like people expect, like this is now going to happen every game. And we all understand that high performance sport, unfortunately, that's just not how it goes. You're not going to hit a hole in one every time you go, out on a golf course as well. It just doesn't happen like that. But then, you played obviously at a couple of teams as well, some of the biggest teams in South Africa, in France as well. Is there any highlights or like challenges or things that you can share from your moments at some of those clubs with regards to team culture, what you've learned, being in so many different places that you've picked up that you now use in your life as well? Is there anything that you want to share?
Yeah, I think, so obviously the Lions it became my team, cause I played from under 16. I played at every level up into the first team. So, a lot of pride, a lot of just a lot of gratitude as well. A lot of the people there became family. It's probably the place where I spent the longest period in my career because I count the years under 16. So I had guys like I forgot his name now, but I mean Hans Kutsi and stuff like that who had me from juniors. Then I had them again in the senior team. So like I knew the system and the setup really well. So I was probably really, really proud about that part of my career. And then when I was at the Sharks, probably the contrast, which is a lot of disappointment because, I was born in Durban. I grew up supporting the Sharks. So I really wanted to make it there. And just for some reason, it never really worked out. But funny enough, in between, I went on to learn at the Kings for Super Rugby one of the years, 2016, I think, or 2017. And paradoxically, it was probably the best 5 months. If you want to talk team environments, culture, cohesion, just really a bunch of guys, a bunch of randoms, throwaways coming together and playing for something that was way bigger than each of us. And I think we had a great season. Like, if you want to compare the history of the Kings, we won a few games. We beat the Sharks, the Warriors.
Couple of big upsets that season.
I think we beat the Jaguars in Argentina. in
Yeah.
the week after we beat the Bulls in Pretoria. So like,
They-
just like wild results, but just
yeah.
it really gave me a clear view of what's possible when a bunch of players come together, work
Yeah.
hard, and believe in something that's really important.
Mm.
And in this essence, I'm actually trying to search for that feeling again, you know, in a different manner, but like a
Yeah.
really, really important moment because it was such a powerful realization for me.
Mm.
And then coming to France was, like I said, I came over when I was young, but really, I mean, with all the challenges, language, culture, different type of rugby, the league is tough. The league is extremely tough.
I've heard.
But just coming to it was a different experience because first of all, it's multicultural. So I mean, we're multicultural back home, but here there's 8, 9, 10 different nationalities,
Sure.
and languages and stuff like that. So it's just, that was really interesting and really being exposed to that. And then probably my time in Toulouse was once again another real eye opener, in terms of what, you know, the highest level looks like and what elite really looks like and what working hard looks like.
Yeah.
And I went into a team that had won everything, continues to win everything
Yeah.
today.
Still.
They're probably the best team in Europe, if not the world.
Sure.
And I played with great players, and I say that the greatest compliment I can give those players is they won everything, whether it was for their national team or their club. But the greatest achievement I think is that they are probably the best human beings. Really, like, they welcome me with open arms,
Yeah.
really humble, down to earth guys, but guys just want to work hard and win.
Yeah.
And so that was really a shock because I didn't expect that. So that was a real eye opener, just really understanding what, you know, the elite level looks like.
Yeah.
So those are just little points, you know. There are specific games that stand out, but I think globally, those are the experiences that probably stand out to me, and the ones that I've drawn the most lessons, the most reflections from, and they definitely shape the work that I do today.
Yeah, yeah, and getting to that as well, you know, like when we previously spoke on the call, you said you kind of knew that this was where you wanted to go, and you kind of made that transition while you were busy playing, you know, to go into sports psychology. Was there a specific moment? What is the catalyst that made that shift for you? Was there a specific moment or experiences, or you said now that you had an experience with one of your coaches or one of the people that worked with the Lions in the beginning, you know, was that the catalyst moment, or was that kind of just one of the pennies dropping, and where was that moment where it all shifted for you?
Yeah, I think it was probably just a realization throughout my career. Like I mentioned Henry Gericke earlier.
Yeah.
When I was 19 at the Lions playing Super Rugby, that was probably the first seed that was planted in my head to be like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I'm not gonna pretend like I was the world's greatest schoolboy rugby player, but like schoolboy rugby was relatively easy. I didn't have to think about it. I just turned up and I'll play, and I was probably one of the better players on the field. And so the jump from that to professional rugby, I quickly doubted myself, first of all, and I realized like, there's probably another aspect, you know, instead of just watching game film and lifting weights, you know, there's probably going to work on the mental side of it as well. So that was probably the first seed. And then, you know, I worked, there was probably a crucial period. So when I left the Sharks in 2012, so I was out of contract in October. I'm showing my age now. This is back in the days when the contract ran from January to October. The contract season ended in October. But so my contract's up in October, and my contract in Perpignan was only starting the 5th of July. So I had 7 months off, or 8 months like free, basically. And so I took the time to I met up with Tim Goodenough. Really got a chance to do some really deep work and probably work through some of the scars and the mishaps that had happened to me in my last year at the Lions and the year at the Sharks. And I wanted to give myself the best opportunity to be successful when I arrived in Perpignan. And so that moment, that work I did there is probably a lot of the shifts, the mental shifts that I carried with me in the second part of my career. And that was like the real moment I was like, okay, this is something I want to do later on. And so I put things in place, like I said, in terms of studies, to be able to realize that. So yeah, I think generally just a realization over my career, but if there was one profound moment, it was probably the experience at the Kings, like playing in the team with a high level of cohesion and culture, and then the time I spent with Tim. and working through my personal things. And I
Yeah.
really saw the value and the impact that it had for me.
Sure. So do you, in the same breath as well, like, do you feel like there was a gap in how the mental performance, was addressed during your playing days, or do you feel like it was adequate for you and, it's because of that that you were inspired to pursue this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you would agree with me. I think you're capable. You know what you're capable of. You
Yeah.
have in that there'll be physical, tactical, sorry, technical, etc.
Mm.
And then there's what you deliver on the weekend,
Yeah.
and it varies. You know what I mean? You might be a 6 or 7 out of 10 one weekend, and then one weekend you might be a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a personal opinion. I think, and this is the level that we play at. I have an understanding that probably your audience will be wide ranging, but when I
Yes.
talk about the level that we play at the highest level, the talent, the tactical, and the technical gap is so small. Like
Yeah.
everybody's talented,
Yeah.
and so often what makes the difference in those performances is probably like more mental and how you deal with pressure moments and how
Yeah.
your relationship with adversity and pressure and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really important. I know I couldn't get out of my own way. I was living in my head. So
Yeah.
the smallest mistake, I'd look to the sidelines to see if my replacement was warming up. Like that's how
Sure.
bad it was. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
look at try and gauge my teammates' reaction and stuff like that, and my coach's reaction,
Yeah.
and just, I couldn't get out of my own way. So I know it is important for me, and like I said, I observed with my teammates as well. Like
Yeah.
guys were way more talented than I could ever be, and they just couldn't get out of their own way. So
It's crazy. It's
I'm not going to
hectic.
get into the weeds now if enough is done in South Africa or in
Yeah.
France, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think there is something to be said about the
Yeah.
impact and the value that it can bring to players.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. So I want to dive into this obviously because this is your area of expertise. So as a mental performance coach, you work with athletes to build a reliable performance under pressure. So I think you've said this on your platforms as well. So I want to know, what does the reliable performance under pressure truly mean? And what are some of the foundational techniques that you use or that you teach to achieve that?
Oh man, I really appreciate you giving me a chance to express it. I get really animated and excited about this. But like,
No problem.
no. I'll try my best to try and keep it as simplified as possible. But like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of like the mental performance side or coaching or psychology, sports psychology today, a lot of it is probably sold at probably a little bit as positive psychology. Be like, oh, just think positive, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Just be positive, whatever, and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And that's probably like a bit of a bugbear, and I think it's a little bit unfortunate and kind of sells our profession a little bit short.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a little bit more sophisticated than that. I think the way I would view it is, if you want to look at like levels or foundations, is obviously first of all like just your well-being. Are you sleeping well, eating well, drinking enough water, and your relationships. And when I say relationships, that's your family, friends, your social aspects of your life. Are those in place first of all, before you want to talk about performance?
Yeah.
So that's really, really important.
Yep.
And then I think the next level, the next foundation on top of that will probably be like what I would term as like your mindset. You know what I mean? Like how you relate to adversity, how you relate to mistakes, how you relate to developing your own potential. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Do you see making mistakes and adversity as necessary for me to grow? Because I want to learn from that, take the lessons, work harder, and come back better. Where somebody else might be like, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Or I've got my first bit of adversity, and now I'm going to shrink and hide, or I'm going to wait till the situation is perfect before I take action. You know what I mean? So really just working on guys, getting them to understand that like at the highest level, man, adversity is always going to be there. It's almost a pre-requirement to play at this level, you know what I mean? And you really need to learn how to deal with it. And that's going to be injuries, the opinion of one or two men, or coaches, whether it's right or wrong, justified or not.
Yeah.
Careers are often made or broken because of that. So how do you
100%.
deal with those aspects? And then the really top level, and this is what I think a lot of people will talk about or think when they would think mental performance coaching is like pressure skills, like momentum, routines and things like that. Like how do you deal with key moments in games? How do you deal with a line out on the 5 meter line. I've got to hit my jumper. How do I take a kick to win the game? And those pressure moments. And that's where you get into the things like your breathing and etc. And those are like the skills and the tools that we would use to help players with that. But I'll get to that really at the end, only when I feel comfortable enough that the athlete has a solid base to really work from. I think just putting breathing technique or a 5-step routine to do something is just putting a plaster on the situation. You know what I mean? You're not really
dealing with the roots.
Some players it will be fine and you can get away with it, and other players like need open heart surgery. Like you need to get deeper and really get into the depths and understand what's really going on. So
100%.
that's the way I view the work that I do. And like I said, it's closely reflecting the way that people worked with me, what I saw value in, and what I really found alignment with.
100%. And then you also mentioned, human first. You have a human first approach. You said, I'm not quoting here, I work with humans first who just happen to play elite sports. So can you elaborate on that philosophy and, and how it shapes your methodology? Because from my perspective, the coaches and the people that I've worked with that I've enjoyed the most are people who understand how to work with the human being, how to work with Courtnall Skosan. Figure me out, understand me first, and then then you'll be able to work with the person. I believe in that. So obviously I'm assuming by your smile, that you also believe in that, because, just share a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah, man, I think you would have picked it up in my intro, and I wasn't just introducing myself for sure. It's genuinely like the priority that I have in my life. And one individual asked me, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, it's like, who are you? I was like, yeah, well, I'm a rugby player. I play at this team and I've done this and I'm trying to achieve that. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. That's great. Okay, now who are you? And I was like, oh, man, I just introduced
What do you
myself,
mean?
But who are you? Who are you? Who's Wandile? And up until that point, and it probably sounds a bit cliche or a bit cringe, but up until that moment in time, I probably fused my rugby or my professional identity with who I really was, and that reflected in my mood. If I had a good game, I was awesome. If I had a bad game, I was down in the dumps. And so that's probably a lot of reflection, actually understanding who am I. Like I really view myself, Wandile, I'm first and foremost a son to my parents. I'm a husband to my wife, and I'm a father to my kids, like and a sibling to my brothers and sister. Those are like the most important things first and foremost. And then I just happen to work as a mental performance coach. I happen to be a professional rugby player in the past. And so when I talk about human first, it's the same thing, the same conversation I'll have with a player. I'd be like, who are you? I'm trying to understand the social support system, who are the important people in their lives. If it's a father, a partner, you know what I mean? Things like that. Really understand the social dynamics, what they want to achieve in life, because it's a gift and a curse, but elite sports is one part of our life. It's not our entire life. And so there will be a moment when you got to shift into something else. And so just understanding what are their aspirations, what are their passions outside of the game. Like it's good and great to really be passionate about the game and to work hard. And you probably need a level of that to achieve some success. But what else are you passionate about? You know what I mean? And so I really try and tap into that. And once I've got that, an understanding on that, and they have an understanding of that, then we can work on the more performance. Like I said, the top of the hierarchy is like, okay, you got this problem when you perform, how can we deal with it? But the foundations are really, really important. Really, really important.
No, 100%. I fully believe in that. I'm going to quote another thing that you said. I like to quote you because obviously it's your thoughts, it's your things that you're sharing. So, so in a LinkedIn post, you shared a powerful insight. You said, never tolerate anything in a win that you wouldn't tolerate in a loss. So now I want you to explain the significance of that statement because, obviously rugby or professional sport in any sports, everything comes down to a win and a loss, but what do you mean when you say something like that?
Yes, mate. This is really, really one of my pillars in life. Mate, I've got to be careful because I don't want to quote teams or anything like that to make mistakes. But I think you would have experienced it as well. Whereas a player might do X, Y, and Z, might deviate from the game plan or whatever, and we happen to score a try and we win the game, and that's great.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later, the same behavior happens and we lose.
We lose,
and the coach loses his mind.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's been one of my bugbears. I'd be like, try objectively look at what's right and wrong. Now, in rugby, it's such a dynamic sport. There is very rarely the truth, but there are behaviors, there are standards that teams adhere to. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about culture and stuff like that, so not turning up late, respecting the change room, working hard, doing your extras, watching game film, you know what I mean? Doing the bare minimum at that level to be a professional player. And so when I talk about that quotas, leave the result on the weekend. Can we try and judge behaviors more consistently? And leave the result and not base our judgment on the result on the weekend. I mean, I think once again, it's just an opinion. I could be completely wrong, and I'm more than happy to be challenged on this. But I just feel if you want to be successful, you want to win championships, and you want to win consistently, you got to look at the behaviors that drive that. You know, I mean, the standard that you set, because the results you can play well and lose a game, the same way you can play terribly and win a game. And so I think to be a slave to the result is like I said, for the athletes as well. Personally, if your mood is dependent on the result, you know what I mean, you're looking for trouble. And I think it's the same thing for teams and organizations. If you're going to be judging athletes and their behaviors based on how they perform on the weekend, it's not enough. It's got to be a little bit more in depth.
100%. And then, I mean, when you do professional sports, like I just said earlier as well, you know, we're constantly growing. Every certain situation is different. So every injury is different. Every game it's a whole different event. It's a whole different thing. If we're thinking about growth and how we want to improve, because you're never fully developed, you're never perfect,
100%.
you know. So when we look at that, it's very important what you're speaking about when you're talking about, can we objectively look at everything behavior-wise? Are we sticking to the plan? Are we following the course? Are we on process? You know, because for me, in my life, to the best of my ability, I try and stick to the processes, because I know if I get the process right, you know, the results sometimes might not be in my favor, but at least I know I've put the processes in place to get the best possible outcome, you know, and I know if I stick to it, more often than not, I'll get to the right side of what I want to see, you know. So it's very important when you're saying that. I mean, that's just my 5 cents. I'm not the expert, but that's just my 5 cents on it.
I completely agree. And we're aligned once again. I think your experience, it probably shapes your thoughts and your reflections on that, because, you know, a good way, the example, the metaphor I like using with professional sports, it's like betting odds. And, you know, each behavior, each standard that you continuously improve on and work hard towards, and every time you stick to the process and you continuously, you know what I mean, try and first of all maintain the standards and even elevate them, you continuously shortening the odds, and you put in the odds in your favor. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to strike every single time. Because if we knew that, then I think sport would be boring. I think the most talented team would win every weekend. We know who's going to win the championship. And so that's kind of the beauty of sport. But you have the understanding, and I'll use your words against you now, is if you stick to that process more often than not, you will be more successful more often than not. And I think 100%. That's just really all we can ask for.
100%. And then I want to touch on another thing that I also think is very important and would like to hear your thoughts on this, is obviously mental recovery. You know, so this is obviously something that's overlooked when we think about sports, and the time you have in between a week's game and the next week's game, you know, like obviously it's a big part, but we don't realize that we're doing stuff. But what have you found in, you know, your experience, obviously, and then obviously in what your profession is at the moment? You know, what do you feel is techniques or stuff, or, you know, stuff that we can implement and apply to our lives to be able to find ourselves in a space where we can also mentally recover, to be fresh every week, you know, renewed mind, renewed mindset going into our next challenge, to stay at that peak performance, because it gets tiring. I mean, you know, to be there the whole time, somewhere you got to taper down and switch off, you know. So yeah, that's just my feeling. But I'm now from the expert. I want to know.
No, you're absolutely right. And I just to push your sentiment a little bit further, I mean, there'll be weekends when you don't play, but you still have a week of training. And so even in that, I mean, like I said, at the highest level, training is competition as well, because we're all trying to get the same jersey. So
You're vying for
I
the jersey,
completely
yeah.
agree with you. I think, yeah, man, absolutely. And so, first of all, I'll preface by saying that like mental recovery is one of the biggest subjects, because we absolutely know it's a huge lever that you can like really pull on to help players perform better. But at the same time, you can't objectively measure it the same way, or objectively
Yep.
even do it the same way. You can get into an ice bath, you can put your Normatec boots on, you can eat better, sleep more, you know, have a massage, etc. Do pins and do needling, whatever.
Yeah.
The physical recovery today is obviously well researched, and we know what we need to do. But mental recovery is a little bit more abstract, and so I think that's the challenge. And so I just like the first thing I'll say, and it touches back on what I said earlier about my foundations. I think, you know, taking time away from the game to switch off, but it doesn't necessarily mean trying to forget about the game, but rather engaging, you know, in relationships and behaviors that you don't always get time to, whether that be your family, friends, you know, just being present, you know what I mean? So if you have a weekend off, actually being with your partner, your wife, your kids, you know what I mean? Not trying to think about the game, but like actually being present, being committed to where you are in the moment, engaging in passions or subjects that interest you outside of the game. They could be closely related to the game, you know, it could be strength and conditioning or whatever, or it could be completely left field, you know, it could be music, art, you know, anything. And so just engaging in those behaviors. And so once again, to close the loop, it sort of goes back to what I said at the beginning. You actually got to have an understanding of who you are, what those passions are, and what those things that can really, you know, really spark an interest that you're willing to do off the field. And so a large part of the mental recovery would be engaging in those behaviors. I think, yeah, at the same time, it would be a miss to say we are professional athletes, and so we can never really let go of ourselves. You know what I mean? You physically, if you have a week off, you might have to do 2 or 3 sessions to maintain, you know what I mean? So you don't come back running 6 minutes in the Bronco, and things like that.
100%.
So you obviously got to put those small behaviors in place, but I think at the same time, just engaging in the right relationships, social support, and passions off the field, I think will be a big step in the right direction. Now, like I said, I prefaced this at the beginning. I can't give you a 3-step manual. Do this and you'll be mentally fresh at the next training session. But I just think trying to do that would definitely be a huge help.
100%, 100%. Now a little bit more personal. Obviously, you've made the transition, you know, from sport to life after rugby. You know, something that you're passionate about. But obviously, there's been some adjustments that you've had to make. You know, mental adjustments. You know, and then some of the stuff. The question I'll get to: what are some of the mental adjustments that you've had to make? And then the follow-up question on that is, what are some of the stuff that you've learned during your sport career, your sporting career, that you now apply or that you see actually is worth your time, or it actually, you know, it's something that you're using in your life at the moment?
I'm going to actually answer your second question first, because I think that's probably been the biggest eye-opener. I think, I'm sure like my players, and I know Proval, which is the play syndicate here in France, they would always tell us, you got transferable skills, you know what I mean? Like you learn so much in your career, you're not aware of it, but those skills exist and you can apply them, you know, post-career. And that's absolutely true. Like it's not just hot air. It actually is really, really true. Like, and probably the biggest thing I found is I don't have a schedule at the moment. I miss having a schedule. I won't lie to you. I miss knowing at 9 o'clock I have to be in the gym, and then at 10:30 we have video, and then we have lunch, and then 2 o'clock I'm on the field. I miss that. I'm not gonna lie to you. And so the challenge is like, how can I leverage the discipline and the things that I learned in rugby? Like I had to organize my off days, I had to organize my holidays, you know what I mean, my training schedules. How can I leverage those skills into trying to find some semblance of a routine so that I don't waste my time during my days? So that's something like that I try and borrow from what I had when I was a player. You know what I mean? I think the biggest, I'm not sure if you can call it a skill, but like the biggest capacity that being a professional athlete has taught me in my life today is my relationship with adversity. Every week we're judged. Every week you're dealing with a sore ankle, but you still played. A coach didn't select you, but you still turned up the next week of training with the same amount of energy. And so, the last 2 years, the transition has had its moments where it's been difficult, trying to start a business, my coaching business, trying to, find clients, trying to develop something so that it's sustainable.
Yeah.
And so I found myself constantly going back to be like, listen, it's a moment in time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not going to be like this forever. What can I'm in this kind of moment, what can I learn? What experience can I draw on that I can be better the next month, that I can be better in 6 months' time, you know what I mean? And that I'm constantly moving forward. And so that relationship to adversity, and then also, and you used this phrase earlier, and I loved it as well, that it's actually not a journey, it's a process. We're actually never going to really arrive. And so I understand that, like, where I'm at today, it's not necessarily where I'll be in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time. My responsibility is, and it's a quote from one of my favorite books, is that you're constantly building your house. So every behavior that I'm engaging in, am I trying to move myself forward? So I've gone along, I've taken the scenic route to answer your question, but like, I think the things those are probably the two biggest things that I've learned from rugby, or three things. So like the scheduling part, my relationship with adversity, and that knowing it's a process, that I'm never actually really going to arrive. And I'm constantly just searching, trying to get better. So I'm reading more. I'm experimenting. I'm talking to other professionals and getting their experience, trying to learn from their experience, trying to improve my practice so I can coach my athletes better. And just constantly trying to get better. And I somebody asked me, like, what are my goals as a sports psych? And it kind of pushed me back, because when you're a rugby player, it's like, oh, I want to play for the Springboks, or I want to win a World Cup.
100%.
I couldn't answer him because I wasn't really sure. So like, I didn't feel comfortable saying I want to be the best sports psych.
Yeah.
Like, how do you measure it? You know what I mean? Who measures it? So I just found myself falling back on, I'll be the best sports psych I can be today. You know what I mean? And so if I'm coaching somebody tomorrow, I'm going to be present. I'm going to give everything for that hour that I'm with that athlete, and just trying to be the best in that moment.
100%.
I'm going to take my learnings from it, package it, and move forward. And I think that's been a really, really great lesson or skill, if you can call it that I've learned from being a professional athlete.
Sure.
And so I've gone along with, I kind of forgot the first question you asked me, the first part of your question, which was
the mental adjustments that you've had to make.
The mental adjustment. It's probably closely linked. I think, like I said, I kind of missed the scheduling where your life was taken care of for you for large parts of the week. But at the same time, it's got its trade-offs. You know what I mean? I've probably been on little weekends away and little holidays in the last 12 months, more than I did in 10 years of my career, because I can go at the drop of a hat when I feel like it. You know what I mean? And I can plan for a wedding, my friend's wedding, in 6 months' time.
You're not missing anything anymore.
Are we going to be playing a game this weekend? Am I going to be selected? You know what I mean? So like, it's got its trade-offs. So and I think the biggest mental adjustment is that I understood it's not going to be easy, and it sounds counterintuitive, is that I'm constantly discovering every day. Like I said, no 2 days are the same. And that actually excites me at the same time. You know what I mean? It could have been a cause of apprehension and anxiety. After obviously having 14 years of knowing exactly how your schedule is, but I see it completely different. I find it exciting. I find it liberating, and like I said, I'm constantly discovering, man. I've been retired for 2 years, so I couldn't give you every answer. We'll have another episode,
100%.
6 months or 12 months time, and I'll probably give you more insights. But I think
100%.
those are probably the learnings I've had over the last 2 years.
That's cool, man. That's very detailed. I mean, that's very detailed. Obviously, soon, somewhere in the near future, I'm going to be taking on that journey. So it's nice for me to have these conversations. And it's probably part of why I started the podcast, was to kind of have these conversations and also take little bits and learn, so that I can fill my artillery, and have my ammo ready for when my time comes, So it's nice for me to hear, especially when you go full into detail. That's why you'll never hear me interjecting or kind of cut you off or anything. I love it. I love it. So for the community, someone's watching, not a professional athlete, no aspirations to be a professional athlete, but they're performing in other parts of their lives. They're in corporate, they're in something, what would you say, is an overarching kind of advice that you would be able to give someone that's just your normal everyday person, maybe not elite sports, or they could maybe be, but for everyone, if you had to look at everyone in general, an overarching advice that you would want to give someone and how they can be at their peak performance, especially mental peak performance, each and every day of their lives?
Huge pressure. How do I give one piece of advice? I think there's so many. I think the ones I find myself keep coming back to, I'm sorry for your audience, but I'm going to repeat myself,
No.
it's closely linked to the second part, is first of all, your relationship with adversity. Because like I said, it's going to happen. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, and
100%.
adversity can take on different forms in your life and different levels of intensity. And I'm very respectful of that. But just not going to turn up. And so how your relationship with it is probably going to determine how successful, how quickly you bounce back and how successful you'll be going forward.
Yeah.
And so closely linked to that, and this is probably the biggest skill that I try and teach the athletes that I work with, the global term is self-regulation.
Yeah.
In simple terms, it's just how quickly can you learn?
Yeah.
How quickly can you learn? How quickly can you reflect, take the necessary lessons, reflect on them, apply them, and then come back better the next week? You said it once again, I'm borrowing your words, and you're absolutely right. 2 weeks in rugby is a long time.
Long time.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know what I mean? You got training every day, or you might have a day off. Then you got a game on the weekend. Then it's rinse and repeat. And so I'm applying this specifically to athletes, but I think it's valuable for everybody, is that you constantly have moments where you constantly got data about your performance in real time.
Yeah.
Don't waste it. You know, reflect. Learning how to reflect is probably one of the most important and skills that will compound your growth the quickest. You know what I mean? Taking that piece of data, reflecting on it, applying it, and then coming back better. Because the one who learns the quickest will be the one who's the most successful. It's not necessarily a question of talent. Like I always say, once again, speaking probably more specifically to athletes, we all got a similar level physically, you know, and technically.
Everyone gyms.
Everyone gyms. We all watch the same tape.
100%.
You know, we all do the same moves, plus or minus. And so the ones who are able to learn the quickest will often be the ones who are the most successful. So really work on your relationship, your perspective with adversity, because it's gonna turn up in your life. And then with that, in those moments, how do you learn from those lessons that life is trying to teach you? You know what I mean? And really take them on board, reflect them, package them together, and come back even better. And if I want to put the bouquet or everything, the final touch on that package will be what you said. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not a journey. I mean, sorry, it's not a destination. It's a journey. So just constantly trying to keep moving forward, trying to get better.
100%. And then just before we close off, you know, what excites you the most about what you do? What gets you going the most about what it is that you're doing now?
What excites me, like I said, I don't have, I mean, like I've got like mini goals. So I mean, I would like to work with teams, for example, and work at certain levels with certain teams, and you know, work with the team, try and work with the team for 10 months and see where we can take them and the growth and all of that. But I don't have a specific goal that really drives me. I think that my greatest pleasure at the moment and that I get from coaching these athletes is, and you can see it, and it's really liberating, is and it can take on different forms. It's either me giving them information or me asking a question, and then they come to the information by themselves. But it's when that penny drops and they're like, okay, I get it. And you can see it in their eyes and like, okay, that makes sense. And it's actually landed and you're like, wow, okay, he's got it. You know what I mean? And those moments, like, it's a bit of a drug. Like, I don't try and look for them too much, because then I'll probably start deviating from the real work. But those moments when I just get guys to understand and they take it on board and they can see how I can help them, whether it's their performance in life, whatever. Those are the moments I live for at the moment.
Sure,
that's
amazing, man.
What's going a hat trick?
Yeah, well, that's kind of where the question is rooted from, is because you don't get that hype from a game or that hype from scoring a try, you know. So where are you getting that feeling from, you know? So that's basically the root of why I asked that question.
No, I appreciate that. No, thank you for allowing me the chance to actually reflect on it, because I'd never thought about it that way. Like I said, I just try and engage in behavior to be the best version I can be today or in each coaching session. But I admittedly, those moments do stand out. I probably do enjoy them a lot.
No, that's awesome, man. Wandile, I want to say thank you, brother. Before I let you go, where can people get a hold of you? Where can people follow your journey, what you're busy with, any websites, you're probably not going to put a number on here, but any websites, any platforms that you want people to go to if they want to learn more about what it is that you're doing now, just keep up with your journey. Because I think it's amazing work that you're doing, it's amazing to see someone that's been in the sport, go back to the sport and then do this aspect of the game, because it's something that I believe in. It's amazing. We need this. I've worked with a couple of people in my career as well. That's helped me in an immense way, that I feel like certain principles that I still apply that I can take with me for the rest of my life. So where can people find you? Where can they get a hold of your stuff?
Before I tell you that, look, Courtnall, really, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for reaching out to me, first of all, for giving me this platform. I don't do this enough.
Yeah. Should
in
do it
some
more.
weird way, I actually kind of enjoy it. So, first of all, thanks for giving me the opportunity to reflect on my own thoughts and my own processes in my career and stuff like that. And so, secondly, I hope your audience can take away at least one thing that they can help them and that they can apply in their life and that will help them move forward.
Yeah,
I think that's all I can really ask for. And so you're doing fantastic work, man. I know we've engaged in these conversations, off camera. Like, you're moving in the right direction. So
thanks.
If you can take any little, any bits of knowledge, please take them and apply them. I'm more than happy to go into more in depth with them with you.
Yeah.
So where can guys reach me? I'm terrible at social media. I should be way better. So I try to be on LinkedIn as often as I can. I don't post often enough, but whenever a nugget of information comes into my head that I feel I need to share, I will definitely post it. So you can definitely find me on LinkedIn, and then probably on Instagram. I have a page. It's called Perform Mind. That's my professional page, not my personal one. Same thing. I just try and share, just reflections, things that I observe. First and foremost with my clients, a lot of the conversation that we have will come out in the posts. So I think that's really important because that's real time, what's happening, what the issue that guys are dealing with. So try and find me on Instagram or LinkedIn and my website, performmind.com as well. So
awesome.
You'll find all the information there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Brother, I want to wish you all the best. I want to say thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity, to dig a little deep into your life, into your mind, and just understand. I'm a firm believer that we connect with stories, we connect with people's thoughts, like that's how we relate, that's how we connect, and you never know who is listening to this conversation. Someone might be needing this, so I want to just say thank you for allowing me, being on this platform and allowing me to have this conversation with you. I don't take it for granted, and I say that to every single guest that comes on because it is a privilege for me. We don't know, tomorrow God might call my number and I'm not here anymore, but these conversations will live for time to come in the future.
You're gonna be scoring a few more tries. Don't worry, you're gonna be around a little bit longer.
Well, that's what we pray for. That's what we're hoping for. But I'm looking forward to people listening to this and grabbing something. Like you said, if there's one thing in here that they can learn from, or take it and apply to their lives, that would be job well done. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me that opportunity, brother. And then I wish you all the best with your family. All the plans, all the endeavors that you're taking on, all the ventures. And we will obviously stay in touch. It's been refreshing, to connect with you. I just love your mindset. I love how you communicate. I love how you speak. I'm enjoying our conversation. So thank you so much, brother, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch up soon.